What is the best way to get from Christchurch to Greymouth? The TranzAlpine train or by rental car through the 𝗨𝗃𝗃 National Park. Plus, I'll point out must-stop scenic places along the way. So before we go into the best travel options from Christchurch to Greymouth, let's have a look at the Google map. According to Google, the distance is 242 kilometers or about 150 miles and 3 hours and about 20 minutes. As usually with Google, you need to add 10 to 15%, so calculate for the road drive with the car at least 4 hours plus the time you need to stop at places. With the train journey takes about 5 hours from Christchurch to Greymouth one way. So when traveling from Christchurch towards 𝗨𝗃𝗃𝗃, my personal favorite is actually going through the old West Coast Road, which is shortly after 𝗨𝗃𝗃𝗃. You see it here on the map. Besides not having much traffic, there may also be less speed cameras. So remember, the maximum speed limit in New Zealand is mostly 100 kilometers an hour. So you continue traveling here on the old West Coast Road and you join in SH73 again near Sheffield. If you have a closer look here, you can actually see the train tracks following the main road, which is basically until the Southern Alps when they divert a little bit. In any case, in Sheffield, you might want to have a quick stop. There is a petrol station, there's a pie shop with some beautiful local pies, and there's also a public toilet. Keep in mind, the stretch of road you're traveling today is very much underpopulated, so it's not a lot of facility along the road after you depart Sheffield. There's also a day trip option from Christchurch over to 𝗨𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃. You can go with the train in the morning and you basically return to Christchurch in the afternoon, evening with a coach or a driver. This is for travelers which obviously have a little bit less time. Overall, I would not recommend to go all the way from Christchurch to Greymouth over there and return in one day because it's simply too long. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button below to stay connected for more helpful New Zealand travel planning videos. Plus, you can download our New Zealand planning sheet in the description box below, which will help you greatly setting up your holiday itinerary. Now, as a first overview, let's talk about the travel with a rental car or using the train. In New Zealand, we have only 3 main train journeys. Those are mostly used by holidaymakers. One of them is the TranzAlpine train, which goes between Christchurch and Greymouth and runs once a day in each direction. It starts off from Christchurch at 8:15 in the morning and arrives into Greymouth around about 1 p.m. This takes 5 hours. The train then returns to Christchurch around about 2 p.m. The great advantage with the train is that you travel between the eastern Canterbury Plains through the Southern Alps to the lush green west coast. For train fans and less confident drivers, this is a real treat. The scenery you get to see is simply fantastic. Food and drinks are available on the train. Like in an airport, the luggage is checked in, so you don't have to track your luggage through the compartment. So when the train arrives in Greymouth around about 1 o'clock, you simply collect your luggage and then pick up the rental car right at the train stations. Interesting here is a website with rental car options I would recommend because there's a wide range of options, different car operators, different styles, different prices. So check it out. Got a link in the description box below as well. So from Greymouth, you will either continue north towards 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 or south towards 𝗥𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 and Franz Josef. This will all work very nicely. The key advantage with the car is being able to stop along the way as much as you like. The train only has one main scheduled stop at 𝗨𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 village. There may be other stops along the way like in 𝗨𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 or Moana, but only if there are passengers getting on or off the train. So let's have a look at the recommended stops along the way. So continue on SH73, heading through Springfield, another little village, and heading over towards 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃. 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 is actually a higher pass than 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 with about 940 meters altitude. Lovely view here from the pass, so I'll encourage you to stop, breathe in the fresh air. In the winter season it can be quite chilly, so be aware of that. Also in the winter season the roads can be closed, but there will be signage earlier on in the journey. Passing Castle Hill. Castle Hill is a kind of a holiday kind of settlement as such. There's no shop, there's no petrol station, there's no population permanently living here. But before you reach Castle Hill village, you actually want to stop here at Castle Hill Rocks. On the left hand side there's a beautiful car park attached to it. So this is a magic site. There's a walkway, stunning countryside, paddocks, farmland around it, but this is going right into quite a different world with huge boulders. You have a bit of history as well, so it's well worth, especially on a fine day, to stop here at Castle Hill Rocks. The next must-stop place I would actually recommend the Cave Stream Reserve. So let's have a look at it. So the Cave Stream Scenic Reserve is a very cool spot. It's about 560 meters long, caving. There's a big car park outside. It's a beautiful landscape, as you can see. So walk down to one end, and if you're keen, you can actually walk through the cave. It takes about an hour, but you need to be very mindful of obviously flooding, and also in the winter season, hypothermia, very, very dangerous. So keep that in mind. It's not for the faint-hearted. Also, obviously, you want to bring a torch with you. This is the main road. That's what the area looks like. Very barren on the tops, so in the winter season it's fairly cold. So the Cave Stream Scenic Reserve, highly recommend to stop here. So continue driving, and you have a couple of accommodation options here. You have 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 Lodge. Let's have a quick look on the pictures here for 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃 Lodge. Obviously this is high-end property, beautifully located, right in the middle of nowhere. So if you're keen to experience something like that, it's highly recommended. There's a couple of other places I'll suggest in a minute. So after 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, you continue and you're passing Lake Pearson. Again, beautiful viewpoint here. Stop as you please, depending on the weather conditions, and continue through Grasmere. There used to be a lodge, but no longer. And then you head around the corner and you see the 𝗦𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 River again. Here's an outlook. Let's have a quick look at that. The 𝗦𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 River is a river which flows out into the Pacific Ocean, just north of Christchurch. So after that spot, just continue along the road and you have another lodge here. It's Wilderness Arthur's Pass Lodge. Their focus is more on the educational guided walks, on the environment, and it's a beautiful location again. It's been established for many years. So the Wilderness Lodge, Arthur's Pass, it's also recommended. Then you head over the bridge over the 𝗦𝗧𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 River. Again, outlooks here. We continue here on the main road, passing a campsite for people which going on a camper van. Klondike Corner. They have facilities here, toilet facilities, stunning location. A very popular place in the summer season especially. Now you continue into the Arthur's Pass National Park. It's one of the national parks here in New Zealand, and you arrive in the Arthur's Pass village. You got a couple of motel accommodations here. You got the train station here. I'll talk about that in a minute. But you also have the information center, the National Park Information Center, which is very helpful if you want to go walking or hiking in the area. So as mentioned before, Arthur's Pass railway station is the only scheduled stop as such. Arthur's Pass village also has a couple of cafes, so if you arrive around about lunchtime, this is obviously a perfect spot to stop. Continue along the way, and there's one place I really would like you to check out as well. Go up to the Devil's Punch Bowl Fall. So this is one of the Department of Conservation signs which clearly marks here the Devil's Punch Bowl Falls, which we have a look soon. It's about 30 minutes return. There are other kind of walks around, But let's have a look at the Devil's Punch Bowl. So these are the tracks in that area, especially here along the 𝗵𝗲𝗃. You can see on the left hand side is actually the main road if you want to continue there, but this is the Devil's Punch Bowl. It's a lovely, lovely waterfall. I've been there many times. That is the road heading down into the 𝗧𝗲𝗃 Gorge. As you can see, it's quite rugged here, but again, you know, another picture heading towards Punch Bowl Falls. So this is kind of the environment you have to expect. You more or less getting over from the very dry Canterbury Plains into the west coast area with beech forest as well as waterfalls. So after a little stretch, after a little walk, continue towards the west coast, and there is a historic site I want to point out quickly. It's one of those stories. So this is a monument for Arthur Dobson, and Arthur Dobson was an explorer. He was sent out from Christchurch to explore a route from the eastern side to the west coast of the South Island. At that stage, there was a big gold rush starting on the west coast of the South Island, so it was very important to find that travel route, that road connection towards the west coast. So the very first basic coaches with horses went over the pass in 1866. So please be aware that the road between 𝗬𝗏𝗃 Pass and the 𝗧𝗏𝗃 Gorge area is sometimes steep and windy. So for inexperienced drivers, this can be a struggle. So if you are in that category, you may want to consider the train and the rental car combo as mentioned above. Otherwise, if you enjoy driving through the alpine environment, then you have options to stop at key spots between Christchurch and Greymouth and catch up with those cheeky little fellows. They are the New Zealand mountain parrots, the 𝗪𝗏𝗃𝗃. With the train ride, there's actually a tunnel. So after, I'm not sure if you can see the little line here, but after 𝗬𝗏𝗃 Pass, the train disappears into a tunnel, the 𝗧𝗏𝗃 Tunnel, which is about 8.5 kilometers long. So it goes through all of that part we talked about before, where the tracks are, etc. And it comes out more or less here, just before the other side of the river. So after 𝗧𝗏𝗃, it's pretty much free flow. It's a lovely, lovely road to travel on. Basically now, past the divide, so you're on the west coast of the South Island. Again, you know, there are plenty of little lookout points, and you're heading more or less now into the flat country around about 𝗀𝗲𝗃𝗃, Kumara Junction. These are all highly historic places, and I've done actually a couple of other road travel videos between Punakaiki and Franz Joseph. You might want to check that out. I'll put it in the description box below. As an alternative, if you're heading north, you could actually travel through Lake Brunner area. Here's a connection going through to Lake Brunner, and if you do that, you come out more or less north of Greymouth, and from here you could continue going further north towards Punakaiki. If you arrive with the train, the rental car stations in Greymouth are right at the Greymouth railway station. So here we are. The TranzAlpine train journey across the Southern Alps between Christchurch and Greymouth is the best in New Zealand and maybe one of the best in the world. So there's definitely a very good reason to include this train ride into your overall travel itinerary for New Zealand. Check out my New Zealand travel itinerary template up here, some of which will also include the TranzAlpine train journey with full daily itinerary details. See you in the next video.